Clubs fight against sexual exploitation and misogyny in Japan today. 今日コラボ戦ってますと。最悪茶谷。A year ago, Ayumi called the club out of desperation. She had received abuse from her parents, being kicked out, and gone to her grandmother's house where her uncle raped her. She got pregnant and underwent abortion. She told staff at the children's warehouse center what her uncle was doing to her. In response, the staff arranged for her to go back to her parents' place. The center believed her parents, who said Ayumi was a pathological liar. Because she did not want to go home, she roamed around the city with no money. This made her an easy target for sexual exploitation. She could make money only in Tokyo's night industries. In exhaustion, she emotionally found friends who were in similar circumstances, but one of them tricked her into prostituting in an orgy for school teachers. When I first called Yume-no-san, I was so tired that I wept loudly. She was only 15 years old. 教員向けのランパってのもようわからんけど。Ayumi is one of many girls who have lived in a deep abyss of poverty, sexual exploitation, homelessness, and the dearth of reliable human relationships. And the clothes the girls will wear, the communication devices they carry have changed over the decades. お前ら20年ぐらいしか生きてねえだろ。For exploitative sex industries that absolve girls and women in distress remain robust. Rather, its recruitment methods have become more sophisticated and the services on offer more diverse. 言葉遣いがね、リトーさんの本、内容そのまま持ってきた感が感じられる気がする。Sexual exploitation spreads out じゃねえや。Sexual exploitation spreads not only by industry owners and customers and consumers か。Japanese society as a whole has been given them voluminous space and freedom. It has hyper-commercialized sexual services, reduced the girls' value to that of sexual devices, and along the way harming their physical health and damaging their basic sense of self-dignity. This is exaggerated society that cannot squarely face the history of comfort women. Sexual violence is not being seen as violence. なんか急に関係ない話し始めたな。これこそが慰安婦の歴史を直視できない社会。何も関係ないけどな。Club became Ayumi's safe place. Established in 2011, Club has a peer organization for girls and young women who found themselves in a precarity and sexual exploitation and violence. Precarity とかこの一級単語を余裕で出して、うわ、虫がどっか行ったな。When I was approached by the editor of Kyoil, in February 2023, Kyoil っていうのはあれかなこの茶谷さんが書いてるこのサイトの名前かな I asked that I might write an essay about Collab. The harassments and obstruction against it were escalating day by day. なんかちょっと情報古いな、これ。The attacks against Collab and its founder, Nito Yumeno, chillingly reminded me of the backlash against the feminist movement of the comfort recent years. 関係ないけどな、別に。最近のコラボの攻撃は、慰安婦問題の時のフェミニスト運動のバッシングと似たようなものを感じるみたいな。こっちのセリフなんだよな。I'm a mere distant and small supporter of Collabo and the reader of Needle's publications. ちゃんと本買ってもらってんだよ。But also a historian. I have lost sleeping resentment at the deja vu of the enormous force of social misogyny, which can be seen in the forms of ugly denialism and distortions employed against Collabo. すげえ、慰安婦活動家にアグリーディストーションとか言われたらこれもう終わりやで。Collabo's mission is clear and simple.We are working to create a society in which all girls have clothing, food, shelter, and people they can rely on. これ完全にもう公式サイトからまんま持ってきたな。A society in which girls and travel do not find themselves being exploited to or exposed to violence か。これ全部あれだね。コラボの公式サイトからできたね。Nato and Club staff including some who got their life courses restored with Club's help, listen to the girls' situations, provide food and shelter, often hold deeply personal conversations with them, get legal help from lawyers, accompany them to OBGYN and negotiate with city officials and school administrators on their behalf. Its care work has no clear endpoint. それが問題なんだよな。Nor does it rely on measured outcomes to gauge its success, unlike most of the public projects. It does not follow strict protocols which public shelter and municipal offices usually adhere to. Many girls come by word of mouth and get astonished at its swift response. Global provides community of diverse personalities, a family-like space or team for survival in a girl's words, and aims to foster a sisterhood that is both unconditional and unbounded. Unconditional and binding つってっけど、もちろん女性に限った話だからね。The founder of Club Nito Yumeno is a big sister figure who led girls and a pioneer activist. When she was in high school, Nito herself was stepping into a spiral of abuse by parents, disconnection from school sexual exploitation, and suicidal thoughts. Suicidal thoughts なってたのそんなこと書いとったっけなちょっと覚えてないけど。A number of encounters changed Nito's life, including an encounter with her farming teacher and activist for refugees, who helped her see girls' predicaments as a wider social issue. この predicaments とか一級単語を出してくる。As another catalyst, Nito often mentions her trip to Philippines, where she witnessed Japanese men cheering for teenage prostitutes who were given fake Japanese names. She started working with teenagers in Tokyo as well as Miyagi after the 2011 earthquake, which led to the current form of club. 2011年これコラボの前身的ななんかということね。It explains the grim state of the girls recruited into the sex industry and her public token fabrications. It is important, she argues, to learn the techniques of skilled recruiters. Girls' testimonies describe their choices to trust these men. The manager was very kind and listened to me. The recruiter said I could rest in a group waiting room between calls that order a dispatch of a girl for sexual services. Club engages in active outreach, talking to girls on the street, just as recruiter would do. And girls' ideas crystallized as a night coffee. これ、何ちょっといい言い方してんだよ。The girls' ideas crystallized in a nighttime coffee, which provides a temporary haven with food, clothes, goods, and no predatory men, where girls can hang out or talk to club stuff. Little pays close attention to detail, and little pays close attention to detail to establish the peer association. ピアな関係で便利な言葉やな。Club staff dress and speak like the girls they try to connect to, and girls consider the staff very different from officials in children's welfare center at their first consultations, which usually take place casually over a meal. これね、びっくりドンキーとか言っておしゃべりしたな。Little's YouTube videos and tweets make abundant use of slang such as kimoi, gross, and uzai, annoying, respecting the girl's instincts and expressions. これめちゃくちゃいいように言ってんのウケるな。ニトーさんのビデオとかツイートには、キメーとかウゼーとか言ったような、スラング的な言葉がめっちゃいっぱい使われてます。なんでかっていうと、少女たちの本能というか、少女たちの感性って感じかな。感性とか表現力とかをリスペクトしてのことですっていう。すげえ。いや、伊藤さんが口をついて出てるだけだろ。別に、そんな、ガールズインスティンクトをリスペクトして、うざいとかキモいとか言ってるわけじゃないと思う。ニトさんあれ多分ね、口をついて言ってるだけだと思うよ。あるいはなんか、そんなボキャブラリー持ってないだけでしょ。Club staff know how to react to and advise on their problems. Unlike clueless school teachers. そのさ、クルーレスとかさ、言わんでいいや。お前は。Club celebrates the girls' birthdays. For many of them, this is the first time being celebrated for just having been born. Nito writes, It is not easy to explain Club's activities are not support, 支援, but to be together with the girls. It is frustrating that even that is considered a method of support. これサポート、なんでこれ支援ってこれ日本語で書いたんやろうね。でもあれこれ、コラボのやってることは支援じゃなくて、当事者団体だっていうことだからね。ピアオーガニゼーションだから支援ではないっていうことか。でもサポートの一種みたいに思われんのがフラストレーティングな。別にやってることがいいならね、何でもいいだろうと思うけど。何その他人の評価気にするんだろう。To these girls, stories of comfort women are not something of the distant past. distant past っていうかフェイクだけど。They deeply relate to the testimony of these elders. In 2016, inspired by a photo exhibition of comfort women exploited by the Japanese army, the girls organized their own exhibition. We were bold. これ買われた点って、慰安婦のあれをなんか参考にしてる感じなのかなやけろくでもないの。These girls suffer from widespread images that stigmatize them as if they had wanted brand bags and they took advantage of a middle-aged man. 言い方悪いけどね、そういう側面あるだろう。Through the exhibition, the girls told their stories of homelessness, abuse, bullies, sexual violence, abandonment by the police, teachers, and Children's Welfare Center and the Rest Cuts. でも女性のホームレスネスって数%やで男性に比べたら。In publications, girls often testify that I had to pretend I enjoyed it in order to survive and I even aimed to become a queen of some sex play by internalizing the social discourse. internalizing ってこの言い方がすごい二藤さんっぽいけど。The courage shown by former comfort women and club sisterhood allowed them to get out of the entrapment and view their experiences through the broader historical lens of abuse and sexual exploitation. なんかコンフェットウィメンの人たちの見せた勇気っていうか、基本なんか割と乗っかりみたいなところもあるからね、本当にカレッジだったのかもちょっとわからんし、でなんかそれをなんかより広い歴史的観点みたいな感じになんか捉えちゃうなんか便利な言葉やな、なんかすげえいい風に言ってる感じが。Representing these girls' voices, Nato Yumeno is vocal on Twitter. ちょっとボーカルすぎるけどな。Especially because Nato tells these girls not to expose themselves on social media to avoid stalkers, pimps, and parents, but also is determined to voice up on their behalf. いや、ちゃうだろ。それはちょっと違うんじゃない？女の子が SNS やったらなんか事実陳列されるからでしょ。何いい風に言ってんだよ、これ。She constantly takes the brunt of online misogyny. オンラインミソジニーっていうか、ね、会計しっかりしろよってだけだろ。One issue she drew attention to was a marketing campaign of hot spring resort town using the low-teen anime characters that were overtly sexualized and were addling such phrases as I'm waiting for a surprise visit in my bed. 温泉娘のな。Nito's powerful critiques on a day-in, day-out sexualization of girls has unfortunately enraged those who view it as harmless fantasies and their free artistic expressions. The convoluted sense of being attacked by radical feminists had led some of these men to harass, stalk online or offline, and threaten Nito and collab over years. Over years っていうか、マジでここ数年やけど。まあ僕じゃないけど僕も温泉娘のこと1ミリも知らんけどさ、ラディフェミによる攻撃って言われてもしょうがないであれは。In the summer of 2022, cyber harassment and unprecedented scale began. One leading Twitter account, Himasu Rakane, kept posting grave distortions of photographs and data shown on Collab's official Facebook account and website. Grave distortion 具体的にはどこが？ For example, Collab posted a photo in which girls were calculating monthly budgets required to live independently and concluded that they needed to 141,000 to 163,000 yen. Himasura gave the impression that they had been receiving these amounts as social welfare, and also as if they legally obtained the imaged welfare checks. 結局、会計ぐだぐだやったけどな。He also compared Collab's overall annual report commissioned by the Tokyo Metropolitan Government, pointing to a gap in numbers, which obviously exists as they are different types of reports, as evidence of an abuse of public funding. There is no logic at work in these examples when given even at a cursory look, but a sheer number of his attacks created a movement. Collab's legal team コラボズリーガルチームって言うんだあれ。コラボズ legal team counted that Hima's Rakane account had disseminated 900 tweets, at least 170,000 retweets, 27 entries on a web portal called Notes, and 30 YouTube videos. 1,198,181 views to attack Collabo during the few months between July 12th and November 28th, 2022. Through these outlets, he increasingly fabricated a conspiracy theory that Collabo confiscated girls' social welfare checks, enslaved the girls in bad living conditions, used them as free labor, and stole taxpayers' money. In November 2022, he filed an audit request on Collabo's project to the Tokyo government, which led to a third-party audit report. まあめっちゃ癒着してたけどね。It has shown that Collabo from embezzling public funding, even used its own funding to complete the commissioned project. The audit's further requested additional information that was not filed in the required system, but it proved that none of Himasura's accusation had any basis. 書き方が完全にもうバイアス入ってるけどな。None of Himasura's accusation had any basis とは分かってないと思うよ。What this harasser did to Collabo and Nito can be considered defamation, and the legal team has filed a lawsuit against them. It has imposed a great amount of stress and additional work on Collabo, but by far the scariest was that it triggered a gush out of misogyny on Twitter and YouTube. Even though Himasura Kanen's words are easy to refute, 論破するのは簡単だが。じゃあ論破してみせろよ。Tens of thousands of people eagerly disseminated them, liked them, and thanked and encouraged them. As lawyer Ota Keiko argued, the more distortions it presents, the more attention and likes it gets. It is disseminated more. It keeps escalating. In short, there is a social atmosphere in which misogyny can get you numbers. The Himisura County account itself has mentioned that I would stop if you stepped burning moe, the kind of anime drawing that tend to sexualize young sexual young girls か。まあ、若い女性を性的にする傾向にあるアニメイラストのことっていう感じかな。この定義もどうなんかなとは思うけど。萌えってセクシャライズされてんの？そういうもんなんかね？ようわからんけど。Implying this was his revenge against NATO's attack on the Hot Spring campaign characters. まあ、だったから何なんだろうねって感じだしな。The scale of this movement expanded quickly and embodied a backlash against what they saw as feminists. まあでも合ってるから。This grew regardless of the stupidity of the accusations or what club has done or has not done. 二藤さんの温泉娘叩きも大概ステュピディティが大概ステューピッドだと思うけどね。And the consequences have been grave. In early 2023, other houses, including elected officials, started showing up at the bus cafe. これコロアキかな? Women themselves shouting slurs around it to protect the girls. Collab obtained a restraining order against them. もうコラボやな。コラボじゃない。コロアキだな、これは。Despite such measures, in March 2023, the Tokyo Metropolitan Government pressed hard on the bus cafe operations even on the exact spot that had been awarded legal protection, supposedly for safety reasons. そりゃあんだけバカ騒ぎしてたら、セーフティーリーズンに関して注意させることもあるでしょうね。Tokyo soon notified that it would not renew the project previously contracted to Collab. なんつうかまあ、ドンマイ。Their advertises are heartbreaking. Time and again, we have seen patterns of distortions, misogyny, and gaslighting of victims of sexual violence and their advocates as a corrupt and greedy money grabbers. これなんかすげえ難しいこと言ってんな。なんかこのパターンをよう見てきたってこのパターンの使い方がすごい日本語っぽい感じがするな。性暴力の被害者と、それをなんだろうな、守る人みたいな感じなのかな。advocates。このコラボとコラボの支える女性たちのことを corrupt and greedy money grabbers と、なんつうんだろうな、汚職にまみれたなんか金の亡者みたいな感じかな。みたいに扱ってくるっていう、こういった歪めてくるような、こういった真実を歪めてくるようなパティーンはよう見るわ、みたいな、そういうことよな。まあでもね、寄付をあんだけ募ってて、いざ裁判やるってなった時に、一つの裁判で101人弁護士投入するような団体は、言っちゃなんだけど、ちょっとお金に関しては、まあグリーディーとは言いませんけど、なんというか、もうちょっとお金の使い方、いろいろ考えた方がいいんじゃないかなと思う人がいるのはしょうがないと思うよ。We allowed it to happen again, right in front of our eyes. But collab will not end here. Women volunteers assembled to become a wall. 女性のボランティアが集まって壁になった to protect the bus cafe from harassers. 女の壁って言っててさ、なんかさ、おかしいなって思わんのかねこれ。まあいいわ。Women gathered to protest against the Tokyo Metropolitan Government's decision. Neto Yumeno is sadly not done yet. In April, she has resumed the bus cafe in a different location. もうセプテンバーやけど、もう5ヶ月前やけどな。情報遅いな、この人。She commented, During the months that we could not operate, I get a number of messages from girls who get pregnant. This 1 month must have been very long and full of trouble for many girls. Collabo now relies completely on donations for their operations. For information on donations, visit its website って言ってんのか。これさ、マジで笑えるんだけどさ、妊娠した女性からのメッセージがたくさん届いてます。まあコラボがね、バスカフェをオペレートできなかったこの1ヶ月間っていうのは、この妊娠してる女性たちにとっては非常にロングで非常にトラブルに溢れてたでしょうって言ってんだけどだったらさ、週1回以上やれよ。何言ってんのマジでこれで、しかもこれをマジで大真面目に言ってんのがマジおもろい。ああ。なんかさ、英語でさ、広めんないんだけど、なんか情報が全体的に古いっすよね。だからぶっちゃけなんか、ここ最近のコラボに関してちゃんと追ってる人からすると、マジでこの記事入れなくていいな。ちょっと情報が半年ぐらい遅いね。以上です。